This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to episode 12 of this walkthrough. And in this walkthrough, if you've been following along, we've been using the composite bow, and we have not been using any kind of a shield. And to make things just a little bit more interesting, I haven't been kindling any bonfires, so most of the boss fights have been with 5 Estus flasks. And in this episode, we are going to take on 3 bosses, which turn out to be pretty challenging and pretty difficult with only a composite bow. And I'm going to tell you why at the end of the episode. After the last boss fight, there is going to be a little bit of a long walk. So while that happens, I will recap the episode and sort of give you my thoughts and tell you why this was a particularly challenging episode. And there were several deaths, and I'm sure you guys will enjoy the footage because I actually enjoyed putting it together. And I'll go into the details of why at the end of the episode. So let's get going. You're probably wondering why I only have 16 souls, and the previous episode I had 965 souls or something like that. I went over to Andre and I bought some arrows, and I also repaired my composite bow so that I didn't have a lot of souls laying around. Not that 900 souls is a lot at this stage of the game, but I just, like I said at the beginning of this walkthrough, it's good practice when you're only carrying a composite bow to always have as many arrows in stock as you can, so you could see that I have a very nice stock of wooden arrows, and I also have a really nice stock of large arrows. And I've been using the wooden arrows for the regular enemies, and I have been using the large arrows for the bosses. So in this episode, we are going to take on 3 bosses. We are going to take on Ceaseless Discharge. Then we are going to move further down into Blighttown, into the Demon Ruins, and we are going to take on the Demon Fire Sage, and then finally we are going to take on the Centipede Demon. And like I said, this is going to be an episode where you guys are going to see that these are quite challenging boss fights with only a bow, at least for my level of knowledge and skill in the game. And you will see how I finally figured out how to defeat these bosses, and it was actually an enjoyable set of boss fights. So we're making our way down to the bonfire into Daughter of Chaos, and I had not rested there before, so I couldn't warp there. So we had to make the walk here. So let's go through this illusory wall, and let's take out Ingi. And it's pretty easy to take Ingi out with a bow and an arrow. And as a matter of fact, this is my recommendation for anyone trying to take on Ingi, trying to kill him. Use a bow and an arrow, and that's because you can take them out, and when the worms, when those maggots pop out, you can safely poach them with arrows after the fact. Now here's another close-up of the Daughter of Chaos, and as you can see, her model is also quite beautiful and quite detailed. And it's too bad that we're gonna have to kill her later, but props to the developers and props to the designer for making her quite a saintly and quite an awesome looking model. Alright, but enough of that, enough nervous chatter, guys. I don't know if you could tell, but I'm a little bit nervous. Even replaying the action with commentary, I'm a little bit nervous about the Ceaseless Discharge fight. And that's for a couple of reasons. Reason number 1 is that I normally don't fight Ceaseless Discharge. I cheese them or I skip them altogether. So it has been months. I can't remember the last time I actually tried to take on Ceaseless one-on-one the way you're supposed to. And reason number 2 is that I'm going in there with absolutely no shield. So we are going to see what's going to happen with Ceaseless Discharge. The first strategy that I am going to try is to avoid his arm attacks, and if you can time your dodges properly, and hopefully the Darkwood Grain Ring will help us with this. If you can time your dodges properly, and if you stay close to the wall at the end of this level, at the end of this narrow cliff path, you have enough space to avoid his attacks, avoid his AoE, and fill him full of arrows. So that's what I'm going to try to do, and we are going to see if this is going to be a successful attempt. So let's give it a try. This is it, Ceaseless Discharge attempt number 1. So we're gonna go over here to the close to the edge, and I can aggro him by hitting him with an arrow. I don't have to pick up the gold hem black set. So he's been aggroed, and boy, he's going to hurt quite a lot. I don't really have a lot of armor either, because I want to have fast roll to avoid his attacks. And you could see that his AoE is actually pretty big, because I was nowhere near where his arm hit, but I still took a lot of damage and died. And actually coming down here, it was pretty embarrassing, guys, but I actually fell into the lava and died, so accidentally. So I lost all my souls. So let's go Ceaseless Discharge. This is going to be attempt number 2. And let's see what's going to happen here. Actually, I don't think I lost my souls at this point. I think I still have my souls. I think I lost my souls a little bit later on. But this is going to be attempt number 2. So what we're going to try to do this time is we are going to try to, again, stay with fast roll. But instead of avoiding his attacks over by the wall, by the end of the wall, by the end of the path, we're going to try to hide here, bait him into whacking us with his arm, and then taking a couple of hits at his arm. And you saw that I actually have the Hawk Ring equipped, because I'm going to try to hit him from range, and the Hawk Ring's going to give me a little bit more range. Alright, so there, his arm is exposed, and this looks like a strategy that is going to work. I just have to make sure that I... I was going to say, I just have to make sure that I can avoid his attacks, and as you can see, that didn't happen. So this is going to be attempt number 3 at Ceaseless. And you know what? This time, guys, I'm saying screw fast roll. I'm going to go in there with the stone set, and I put on Ferris's hat, you know, just as a sign of defiance to the to Ceaseless Discharge. Now I've taken off my armor until I get to the point where I can aggro him, and once I aggro him, I'm going to put my armor back on, and the armor is going to give me the ability, hopefully, to take more than one hit if he whacks me with his arm. So let's put on the stone set and Hobble's leggings, and that should give me hopefully enough armor, enough defense to take a couple of his hits. So let's aggro this ugly SOB, and now it's just a matter of baiting him into an arm attack, very, very quickly locking in, zooming in, hitting him when he's exposed, and doing and rinsing and repeating, just doing that pattern over and over again. Now, if you want to make sure that you don't get hit by the AoE when he slams his arm down, you need to come all the way over here and then quickly zoom in and take a shot at him, and it's very annoying. It looks like I'm only going to be able to hit him once after he slammed his arm down, and as you can see, I'm not doing much damage. As a matter of fact, I've only hit him 2 or 3 times, and from way back here, even with the Hawk Ring, it doesn't look like I'm doing any damage whatsoever. Now, I could put on Power Within, but I'm really afraid to do that at this point, guys, because I don't want to be in a situation where Power Within is going to deplete my health to a point where he can one-shot me, and I won't have time to take on Estus Flask. And actually, Estus Flasks turn out to be kind of irrelevant at this point because I'm not really, gonna need that many Estus Flasks if I do this properly. And you saw that I got hit, and he took quite a bit of life out of me, but with the heavier armor, I was able to survive it. So far so good, but I do need to do some damage to Ceaseless, and so far, I gotta tell you guys, it looks like he's winning. Alright, so let's hit him a couple of times, and I also have the Leo ring equipped this time, guys, so I'm hoping when he slams his arm down that if I hit him quickly that it's going to count as a counter attack and I'll do extra damage. It looks like that happened a couple of times because really, even with this build that does quite a bit of damage with the composite bow, I'm really not doing a heck of a lot of damage to Ceaseless, so this is going to take a while. And there I was a little bit too close, and again I'm really happy that I had the heavier armor because I was able to survive a hit. And if I can get 3 shots on him, that would be good. There's 1, 2, but I guess we need to be careful here and then walk back. There's his arm exposed, and we'll take a couple of shots at him. And now I think we've settled into a little bit more of a rhythm, and he is walking away. This is why I kind of took that risk of walking forward. He walked away, so I started walking forward so that he would go back to the same spot where he was pounding his fist or his claw, whatever the heck that is, at the end of his arms. And it looks like now it's just a matter of being patient. So anyway, you guys are seeing my strategy for Ceaseless with the bow. One thing that I would be really curious about is if any of you were able to find a better strategy, something that works a little bit faster than this. This is relatively safe, but it is taking a little bit of time. So, but it's working, so I'm going to stick with it. So if you guys can tell me a different strategy or something that you've tried with the bow. And you know what, guys, it's time to celebrate, but the game won't even let me celebrate. It gave me the cutscene right away, so it's definitely time to celebrate that boss fight because I really didn't know what I was going to be expecting. Like I said, I hadn't fought Ceaseless one-on-one sort of the proper way for a long time, so it's felt really good, and this was actually kind of a really fun fight. It was kind of fun to try to figure out how to take on Ceaseless with the composite bow only. Alright, so we are going to go and pick up the the Gold Hem Black set, and you can actually pick up the set without killing Ceaseless. What you can do is you can pick up the set and then you can do a homeward bone, and that will take you back out to the bonfire. So you can have the Gold Hem Black set, which has outstanding poison and fire resistance, and use it if you need it. Now I really should have done that earlier. I've been using the Crimson set as sort of as an alternative to the Gold Hem Black set, but I think the Black set is superior. Plus it looks really cool. Who doesn't like to look like death incarnate? Alright, so we are going to make our way back to the bonfire after that successful meeting with Ceaseless Discharge. And we've gotten the Gold Hem Black set. And actually that set is going to come in handy because there is lava down here and there are enemies that do fire damage. So I think we're going to be using that set instead of the Crimson set, along with the Stone set or Hovel's set, to complete our equipment loadout. And I gotta tell you, I think I look really badass with Ferris's hat, with nothing but Ferris's hat. Although I wish I was in human form here and I didn't look like a shriveled prune. Okay, so we have 20,000 souls that we got from Ceaseless, so we're gonna go back to the bonfire. Whoops! Don't go that way. That's what happened to me in a previous character. I went the wrong way and I fell off and I died. And I'm looking for the bonfire, so I'm finally going to get my bearings here and find the bonfire. So there's the bonfire. So let's light it up. And our next encounter is going to be with the Demon Fire Sage. And I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a a little bit of a sigh there because, you know, that was sorry about getting lost there and not almost dying and not being able to find the bonfire. Alright, so now we have kind of a long walk to the next bonfire. And we also want to change into human form. And the reason we want to go into human form is because we are going to have our third and our last encounter with Kirk. And let's see if I'm going to remember to go human here. And I just remember that I needed to go human, so we are going to go back to the bonfire. And let's get some humanity in us. And let's go human. Alright, so we're going to have our third and last encounter with Dark Knight Kirk. And after we actually no, that's wrong. This is our second encounter with Kirk. We'll have another encounter with him in our next episode of the series. But before we do that, we're gonna take out this minor Capra Demon, and he went down pretty quickly with the bow and the arrow. And if you're in human form, Dark Knight is going to spawn when you reach around this point here. So I'm going to drop down close to the bonfire. I don't want to fight him up above because there's not really a lot of ground, and with the composite bow I would like to fight him with as much space and as much ground available. So I'm going to drop down, and he's actually going to follow you down here. So you can see that there he is. And we're just going to use the strategy that we've used before, which is to wait until he does a roll. And you can see that the Centipede Demon is here. You can actually see where the Centipede Demon is going to spawn from later on in this episode. So I guess the developers were a little bit lazy. They didn't cover up that model, but you can actually see what you have in store for you in the Centipede Demon. And obviously you can't do any damage to him, but he is right there waiting to get you, and that's the point from where he spawns and he jumps down. And we're gonna have a boss fight with him a little bit later on. All right, so I've gone into fast mode here because before I go into the fight with the Fire Sage Demon, I am going to clear out these enemies. And normally you can run past these enemies, but I thought you guys might want to see what it's like to clear out these enemies with the bow and the arrow only, without a shield. So I'm going to go through the trouble of doing that. And it's actually not that difficult, other than the minor Taurus demons. Um, Everything else, the demonic statues and those burrowing rock worms, are actually pretty easy, especially at the level that we are at with the amount of damage that we can do. And there is another Capra Demon that we're going to take out. There's a nice headshot, and we're taking him out because he's guarding a soul. And you guys know me and how I feel about itemized souls. Must pick them up. And we are going to pick up one more itemized soul that's over here. And that should be enough souls to level up. So since we have a nice collection of souls in us, we're going to go back to the bonfire and we are going to level up. So it looks like we need a little bit more souls. Just a little bit more. So we need another set of souls. And instead of using, and I don't know why I did this, guys, it's just kind of dumb, but instead of using a soul item, I didn't want to waste that soul item. I didn't want to have a lot of souls left over in me, so I actually went and got one of those statues, and that's going to allow me to level up. So sorry about my OCD, and it looks like I needed to kill one more of these demonic statues. So sorry about that, guys. I guess I wanted to have exactly the right number of souls to level up. I didn't want to have a lot of souls left over. I don't know if any of you guys do that. You try to have as close to the perfect number of souls that you need. And we were finally able to level up, and you could see that we're still going with endurance. We want to get our endurance up, because eventually we want to wear the full Ornstein set. Alright, so now that we've gotten that out of our system, jeez, let's just run through these enemies here and go into an encounter with the Demon Fire Sage. Now, the Demon Fire Sage is always a tough enemy for me, and that's because unlike the first iteration of this boss, which you can find in the Northern Asylum as the Northern Asylum Demon, the Demon Fire Sage, the boss fight is in a much longer area, and it's once you get to his back, which is the preferred place to take him on. That's what I recommend, that you get to his side or to his back. Once you get to his side or to his back, what he will do is he will jump up and he will jump back quite a bit. And the Northern Asylum Demon doesn't do that because he doesn't have as much space to do that in his boss fight area. But the Demon Fire Sage has a lot of space. And you guys are gonna laugh here. I'm gonna get my ass literally pounded. I shouldn't have rested there. And you know, he can, his hammer blows will actually track you. And you saw that I got hit 4 times, and I don't know if I've ever been blasted by the Demon Fire Sage 4 times. All right, and this is where I actually got hit by the Taurus Demon coming up to the boss fight of Demon Fire Sage, and I got thrown down the lava and I died, so I lost all my souls. So this is try number 2 with Demon Fire Sage, and you could see that he is just pounding me like a hammer. He's just beating the crap out of me, and I was very lucky that I was able to inhale that Estus flask as he was hitting me, and that's the only thing that saved me. Alright, so here's the strategy for the Demon Fire Sage. Now, what I've been doing so far with the enemies is I've been at about mid-distance or a little bit longer distance, and I've been just pumping them full of arrows. Now, that doesn't work with the Demon Fire Sage, and that's because he has the AoE blast that he does, but more importantly, when you're far away from him, his hammer reaches so far away, and he can also jump forward and swing with his hammer, that if you're far away from him, that's not a winning strategy. So what I recommend to you guys is that you stay as close to him as possible and trick him into a blast attack and then get to his back, and don't get greedy like I tried to do a couple of times. Only take 1 or 2 shots at him, and then, and only then, try to dodge and get to his back. And if you're in this position, which is the most dangerous position, you either need to make sure that you have space behind you so you can dodge his hammer, which again can track you, or you need to roll into his hammer. But you have to be at the right distance, because if you roll into his hammer blow, but if you're too far away, again, it'll track you and it'll hit you. So this turned out to be quite a bit of a tough fight. So I thought that was definitely deserving of a little celebration there with the emote, which is what I did. All right, so that's two bosses down and one to go. So the last boss left is the Centipede Demon. And again, this is another one of those bosses that I normally come in here with a magic character, and the normally my fights with the Centipede Demon don't last very long at all. So I don't know how it's going to go with the composite ball. And I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit concerned about what's going to happen. So before we do the Centipede Demon fight, we are going to trip the shortcut that will take us back up to the bonfire with the Daughter of Chaos. And that shortcut will be available to you after you defeat the Fire Sage Demon. And of course, on our way, we are going to make sure that we pick up every single itemized soul that we can. And here's the elevator that will take us up to the Daughter of Chaos. And there's the bonfire. And we're going to rest here. And we are actually going to go to Firelink Shrine now. I have 22,000 souls, and I need 20,000 in order to buy a ring. So before I forget and before I end up using those souls on my build, I'm going to go talk to this NPC, and I'm going to buy the Lingering Dragon Crest ring. And that ring will increase the length of spells, and we're going to put that to use in our next episode, episode 13, which is going to be the Four Kings. So now that I've used up those souls, 20,000 of those 22,400 souls, let's go back to the Daughter of Chaos. And as beautiful as she is, we're going to put her out of her misery, and she's going to give us a Firekeeper soul. And we can warp, so we really have no use for her bonfire. And again, we're not kindling bonfires, so the fact that her bonfire gives you 10 Estus flasks is nice, but it's not critical, and it's certainly not needed. So let's go back to the bonfire closest to the Centipede Demon. And let's take on the Centipede Demon. And you can actually roll all the way down from up here, like I just did. And you can actually roll a little bit more. So that's sort of a quick way to come down here, is just to roll all the way down the stairs. All right. So the strategy with the Centipede Demon is actually, I don't know what the strategy is going to be, because again, normally when I come by the time I come to the Centipede Demon, I have a really strong build, and I can put out a ton of either magic damage or physical damage. And the boss fights with the Centipede Demon don't last very, very long. So I don't know what's going to happen with the composite bow. I know that I want a little bit of room to maneuver and to dodge if I need to. So I'm going to go to the right, and I'm going to go all the way to the end of the level and make sure that I have enough room to sort of hop around and roll around and hopefully dodge his attack. So I'm going to make my way over here, and you are going to take some damage here, so be careful. Sometimes it's difficult to come here with a very, very low level character, because you could take enough damage that you'll actually die before reaching this area here. Alright, and I've got power within, because this time I want to make sure that I'm doing a lot of damage on the Centipede Demon. And he always starts off the fight by spamming these arm throws that have a huge amount of reach and a ton of damage. And what I'm doing here, guys, is I'm trying to avoid his arm attacks, then quickly locking onto him, and then taking one shot at him. It looks like I'm only going to be able to take one shot at him, one arrow shot, before he starts trying to pound me with his with his one of his various tentacles. It is either his arm or his tail. And it looks like everything's going pretty well. I've gotten hit a couple of times, but it looks like I'm doing pretty well. And I'm underneath them. I really can't see much. And I got about a third of his health down, and I'm doing quite a bit of damage with power within the composite bow. So as long as I don't do something stupid, I think I'm going to be okay. And of course, we all know that those are famous last words. So here you go. I missed the dodge with the Centipede Demon when he pounded his tail, and instead of taking an Estus flask, I got greedy and I tried to finish him, and he grabbed me and he chewed me to death. So let's go with attempt number 2 at the Centipede Demon. And I think we have a strategy down for what to do. We just have to make sure that we don't get greedy, and that we also try to dodge his grab attack. So it's especially important to try to take a look at what kind of an attack he's doing and to dodge at the right moment. Alright, so here we go. So we're doing this again. He's swinging his arms, flailing him about like crazy. And this time I'm going to be patient. I'm going to only take one shot at him. Of course, as soon as I say that, I take 2 shots and I get pounded for it. So take my word for it, guys. Only take 1 shot at him. Be patient. Don't be greedy like me. If your life bar is going down to about close to half, I'd say forego the damage or trying to do damage on him, and instead fill up with an Estus flask. And this is going to be a little bit of a longer fight because I'm doing a decent amount of damage but not a ton of damage. So I just have to concentrate on dodging. So there you go. I dodged that arm attack, so that was good. I was able to hit him a couple of times, and there I dodged his grab, and that was the attack that killed me last time when my health bar wasn't full because he chewed me to death. And it looks like I have to hit him 3 or 4 more times. And again I dodge his attack, and now I'm seeing things that I've never seen before. He's jumping up and he's throwing fire projectiles, so I'm seeing attacks that I've never seen before. And we have a couple of minutes left for the end of the episode, so let me sort of do a recap of the episode and tell you why this was so challenging and fun at the same time. So the boss fights with Ceaseless, with the Demon Fire Sage, and with the Centipede Demon take longer than normal, at least for me, based on my usual builds. So that means that you are going to have to dodge longer, and you are going to see maybe attack patterns that you've never seen before if you've never had long boss fights with these bosses. And that's what happened to me. So it's very, very critical that you don't get greedy, and that you try to take 2 or 3 shots at the boss and try to end the fight quickly. You're not going to be able to end the fight very quickly because you cannot do damage. It's not like having a very, very strong sorcerer or having a character that does a ton of physical damage. You can tank and then you can sort of wail away and whittle down the health bar very quickly. That is not the case with the composite bow. So from now on, I'm going to have to be very patient. I'm not going to be greedy, and I'm going to have to pay special attention to dodging. Even when the boss's health bar is very, very close to gone, I still have to mind his attacks and make sure that he doesn't finish me before I finish him. Alright, so I guess those are my words of wisdom, the lessons I learned in this episode. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. In the next episode, we're going to take on the 4 Kings. This is the Tech Phantom, signing off.